All right, welcome back to another episode of the Up and Up podcast. And this one will be episode 12, the last one for season 1. So,
Yeah,
yeah,
I
that's
take a
this is a while.
hiatus.
Yeah, a
World
little
traveling.
hiatus while we're all off on trips and whatnot. And we'll probably come back within like
Summer.
a month and a half or 2 months, something like that.
Yeah,
But-
just take a break equal to the amount of time that we've been doing.
I mean, I don't know, man. They don't have to know. I mean, I
Yeah,
guess
we
can
don't
set
know.
it. Yeah, we don't know. We'll sort it out. And
We'll be back when we're back.
if you guys really want that much content, good for you.
Let us know. We'll definitely move up the schedule if we hear good feedback.
Yeah. So this week we want to talk about doomsday prepping, or how prepared we are in an apocalypse, no matter whatever kind of apocalypse, a zombie apocalypse, a natural disaster, people throwing nukes everywhere. I don't know, man. What do we got?
Feel apocalypse? I was like, that's kind of sci-fi fantasy, you know? I never think
natural disaster.
zombies or, the world exploding is like a real threat.
Well, I
Wow.
mean, we're living through like an actual global pandemic, so like
That's
that's something we never would have really expected, right?
Like in elementary or something. Someone told you, oh yeah, you're gonna live through
like that's honestly
wars.
stuff we read about like in the history books, like oh, the Black Plague or the Spanish flu or stuff like that.
Yeah.
Black Plague was like purely fiction, and then you're like, oh, I'm living through that. Huh.
Yeah, I know. It's like it's so far removed from your reality at that point that you would never imagine it happens. I do feel kind of similarly about like apocalyptic events, not necessarily like I don't know. I feel like doomsday events versus apocalyptic events are like, what do you think the difference is, or are those the same thing?
I feel that doomsday is a lot more, quote unquote real. We can get into wars even though we're living the, most peaceful time in human history or whatever. But there are literal nukes in control by people I'd rather not be in control of them. But an apocalypse is not real to me. Like if someone tells me zombies, like nah, I don't.
What about like a Mad Max situation, like post-nuclear apocalypse? The whole world is like reduced to an Australian wasteland.
I gotta find me water.
But I feel that every time, all the time, people are told, every generation, oh yeah, it's like it sucks, like we're gonna go to this like war, we're gonna go sticks and stones afterwards, it's gonna be the end of the world. You're always told that. I feel like it's very generational. It's like, oh, always the world, because you always hear bad news spreads way faster than good. So I don't know. Do you guys feel that it's plausible that a major global war crisis would happen?
I don't think
so.
Yeah, I don't think global war is really on the table right now. I think everyone is sufficiently understanding mutually assured destruction will prevent something to the scale of a global crisis. But there's definitely going to be like a lot of small or like continental wars. Like we're even seeing it, now, right? There's always been something going on in our lifetimes where it's just, a conflict between two countries or maybe a few more. But I don't think anything will ever get to like a world war scale anymore.
Like there's not going to be, in World War II, what was it? It's like the moment they invaded Poland is like the last like step over the red line is Taiwan. Like the moment China goes for Taiwan, it's like that.
They're not gonna do it. I feel like that's a very low chance they actually go for that, right?
I think so too. I think like honestly, okay, China is not an unpredictable situation. I think that's like the best reason that they wouldn't just invade, because they act a lot more rationally than certain other nations, like North Korea, or well, as we've seen now, Russia. But I don't know. Not here really to talk about the politics of that, but rather
Geopolitics.
the doomsday situation. So okay, I mean, and that's the thing, right? For us, living in a very peaceful nation, I feel like that's not something we have to worry about. But perhaps that is a reality of people in certain other nations, right? Like, okay, your country does go to war, and your entire region is just reduced to rubble. Bombings, everything, right? Like, you, get- I feel like you can't really be prepared for that.
Mhm.
But I don't know. Again, kind of moving back to like
Yeah.
preparation
Okay.
for like natural
Well,
disasters and
you
stuff.
can't
I feel
prepare
like
for
that's
that, right?
yeah,
We're always told of the big one. We're missing an earthquake that's supposed to hit.
yeah,
Remove Richmond from the map.
yeah. Sink
Face of
into
the
the
planet.
ocean.
Yeah,
Mhm.
you got your prep ready.
Fuck no.
Dude, what is a little backpack with like some food and water gonna do any good for me when
I,
there's a 20,000 foot tsunami just crashing into Steveston, huh?
I
I
mean, it's yeah, go.
I am like not even concerned at all in that sense. Like that is something
The
that is
safety from Ottawa.
I'm just like, okay, well, yeah, right now, yes, but like even after I move back, that's not something once I've thought about trying to prepare for. Like I'll rebuild if I must, but fuck, like I'm not gonna live my life in fear of this like
Yeah, no, there's no
turbo
point in
event
doing it, right?
happening.
Like the first 3 days is when the logistics of getting help is the longest. That's why they want you to have 3 days worth of
3 days.
water, food. You don't even need the food. Just I bought 2 bottles of water at one point. I just have like them sitting somewhere. Worst case, the water would. I feel like you're playing for the post wave. You get rolled by the wave, not your concern anymore. But like, let's
Roll
Rolled
say
by
by
the
the
you
wave,
wave.
it's over.
yeah.
I think it's a concern.
No, you're gone. So
You're
Yeah,
all
you don't
exactly.
need to
right.
worry.
Yeah,
But
there's no prepping for that or
True,
the
true.
aftermath of that. You gotta if you survive the wave though, that's what you gotta prep
Yeah.
for. Yeah,
I
you're right. You're
mean
totally right.
that like 2 bottles of water, right? I think they're like a liter each. That's what I got. I remember looking through a few. I feel like there have been times where I've thought about it. I've never woken up the day and I'm worried. Gosh, like
Mhm.
is it gonna happen? Whatever. Kind of just know where east is, so I go that way in case I hear the sirens, and then that's about it. Grab a bottle of water or two. Nothing crazy in terms of my prep for those scenarios.
Yeah. I don't know, say in the case of like an earthquake, yeah, Richmond would be entirely buried. But out here, if like something happened, probably the worst that would happen is like we could get stuck in the rubble of the building for a few days,
Mm-hmm.
maybe, like at worst. Um, but like honestly, I'm not that worried. Like, I feel like I could survive a few days, like with no food and just like a minimal amount of water and just be totally okay. Um, like obviously it would be tough, but as long as it's fewer than like 3 days, I feel like I could survive without any prep.
Have you guys done like the 30-hour famine stuff?
No,
No.
so
Is it like the fundraiser?
like
Um,
in high school or
yeah,
whatever.
yeah, yeah.
Did you do it?
No.
I mean, there have been days where I didn't eat a lot, but that's
But you're
self-induced.
still eating.
I mean, I think there's a day where all I ate for a period of probably close to 30 hours was like 6 olives and an apple. So, like,
Okay.
you
Mainly
know,
water, I guess, yeah.
I guess so. Wait, do they not drink water during the 30
They
hour
drink
time?
water.
Oh,
They get like juice and water and stuff like that. But like you get no food, right?
Mhm.
I feel like 30 hours is not so bad. That's like
I mean,
1 day plus a little bit
Yeah.
longer, and like if you're
I
not
mean,
really doing anything,
yeah,
I'm just
it's like,
wondering if like you guys did it and were like super
no,
hungry or
no.
something.
Like I've never done that purposefully, but yeah, I've
Uh-huh.
gone like a day without eating entirely. Like
Yeah.
that's I don't know. For me, I feel like that wasn't like if I was concentrating on it, that's not something that would be too much to bear.
mhm. We're also
Yeah.
thinking about this from the viewpoint of, young, healthy
Yes, that's
adults.
true.
If I'm older or have, a condition or something, then might need to prepare a little bit better or just
Yeah. I think once like I don't know, maybe I guess preparing my parents and stuff like that would be more apt because right now like still in the invincible phase.
true.
Hmm.
Whereas like yeah, I don't know. My mom can't like get out and just
Mhm.
like piece it east, right? Like
Right.
that's not happening.
Realist.
Um so yeah, maybe I should prepare a plan at least, something like that. I don't know. Again, I feel like it's just like it's so far removed from my reality that's like I don't even want to think about it. It's like so sad and like pessimistic to think about that. It's like
I mean, is it better not to be, it's like I can't remember the quote exactly, but it's if you're preparing for something, then you won't be surprised. It might still be bad, but like it won't be surprisingly bad because you at least saw it coming.
You
that's an
yeah, I mean
interesting
you
thing.
can see it coming, right? Well, we
Mhm,
all know something is on maybe, right? It is possible,
mhm.
but we don't know the scale. It's something still unfathomable, right? So I don't think you can specifically plan everything
Mm.
out.
Yeah. I mean, okay, what about this? Think about like what if it was a I know like Richmond isn't in that area, but what if you lived in an area where it was like a volcanic eruption or some shit like that?
Mhm.
Damn.
Like how the fuck could you prepare for that? Like Pompeii and shit. You like fucking fire raining from the sky.
Yeah.
Everything is just burning down.
I mean, I'm pretty sure you just need to get in a car and just drive as fast as you can. Otherwise, you're not outpacing it.
It
Right?
depends on the explosion too, right? Because there are a lot of communities around volcanic areas, right? Like in Hawaii,
Yeah.
Mhm.
Polynesia, Japan. So I don't know.
Yeah, isn't Yellowstone gonna explode sooner or later?
Really.
Yeah. Didn't they say something about that recently? They're
I
like
mean,
preparing for it
it's like
to
I'm pretty sure it was like if Yellowstone explodes, half of the U.S. and southern Canada just goes off the map. So
yeah.
that one I feel is a non like you can't prepare for. But I feel that a
Oh,
rough
would
earthquake.
we get caught in this? I'm like looking at the blast zone now.
Mhm. I mean, we're either close or we're gonna get screwed by the fallout and all that.
The ash and stuff.
Yeah, but I feel
Yellowstone
that
volcano kill zone.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's just massive. It's just like half the continent.
I think
No.
we're
So
being chillin'.
apparently the kill zone is pretty tight.
We're
Yeah,
fine. We're
that's like
fine.
the
We're fine.
that's
Well,
an instant kill zone.
I
But
mean,
there's
yes,
like
yes, and like by pretty tight, I mean like it's still the size of like an entire U.S. state, but
It's
like
still
yeah,
half the continental US.
everybody would just instantly die there, and then like
Look,
it looks
I'm
like yeah,
down for
like half
population
the
control.
U.S. would like pretty much die out, and then it might make its way into the corner of BC, like southeastern
Yeah.
BC.
From what I'm
So
looking at
it's
the map,
mostly
like we're outside of it.
yeah.
I mean, but we have Mount St. Helens.
That's fascinating. Apparently, California dodges it almost entirely because of the way that Nevada is shaped and like it digs into California.
Oh,
That's so whack.
but for something like an earthquake, I'm thinking, okay, that's a lot more reasonable thing to prepare for, to play around.
Yeah. This ties in, man. Didn't a few weeks ago we were like, hey, we should talk about earthquakes, like
Yeah.
specifically.
Yeah.
Have you guys
I
ever
mean,
experienced like an earthquake or like a bad earthquake rather?
I mean, not really a bad one. I think the worst ones were like the ones we had when we were young,
Yeah.
but we had a couple, like one or
We've had
two.
one in 2018
Yeah.
that I remember. I'm sitting in my room in front of my computer. It's like late December, like a few days before New Year's, and I remember seeing the mirror in my room shake.
Hmm.
So I'm like, oh, why am I shaking in the mirror? And whoever I was talking to on Discord at the time was like, oh, earthquake, but nothing major,
Man,
nothing nerve wracking.
I
Oh,
missed
wait.
that one.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I guess you were gone then. There was one when I went to California and we're sitting in Cheesecake Factory,
Oh yeah.
and it was going like, I guess there's always that meme like Californians are kind of normalized to earthquakes,
Uh-huh.
but for me, I was like, guys,
I was like, we're done.
should we do something? Everyone's just sitting and eating, and like at that point, I had a couple of drinks too, so I wasn't sure if it was just me.
Yeah, just like rocking back and
Yeah,
forth, riding the earthquake, you know.
yeah, but
Worst case
I
scenario.
felt it, and then I looked up and like the chandeliers on the roof were like swinging. So I'm like, okay, I think something's going on.
It's so wild. I've I haven't really experienced earthquakes, but sometimes, okay, I used to have this thing where my building would shake, but because of the wind, not
No.
because of the earthquake. So in London, Ontario, not London, England, it gets really windy, and there, it's like in a tornado or like hurricane zone, so the winds get really strong. I never experienced a hurricane, or like a, I guess it would be a tornado, not a hurricane. But
What's the difference? Do you know?
so I apparently, and I don't know if this is true or not. This is
Okay.
just what I've always known since I was a kid. Hurricanes are, they start over water, whereas tornadoes start over land or something like that.
That's my definition now.
Okay, I know. I'm just spreading the misinformation, but anyways, I think the strongest winds I ever felt was like 140k winds.
That's insane.
Yeah.
I don't think I've been
Tangent.
in triple digit wins.
Yeah, tangent to that. My first year out there in uni, I was playing soccer, like intramurals. It was like the intramural finals, and it was 100k wins. And we won the toss, so we chose to go into the wind in the first half, and it was like so good. We just like survived through the first half, and the second half we had the wind behind us, and we were just wrecking.
Zooming.
It was insane. Yeah. But yes, anyway, so the wind used to blow so hard that my building would shake, and I'd be like, "Oh shit! It's like, is that an earthquake?" Nope, just the fucking wind. Like it's so crazy. Because unlike an earthquake, I feel earthquakes, it feels like grounded almost. Like you feel yourself rocking from below. But with this fucking wind, you feel like you're being blown around like from above. It's like weird.
I'm sorry. This explanation.
It's just a different, I don't know, it's a different scenario. Like if you're outside and there's an earthquake, right? Like the earth is
Mhm.
rocking you, whereas the wind is blowing you around, right? And so the building kind of,
Yeah.
I don't know, the building kind of feels like it reacts similarly, where it's like the top is swaying, but the bottom is not shaking, right?
Mhm.
So it feels like, and I was on like a higher floor, so it just felt like swaying, but not really like anything from the foundation of the building was being rocked.
Right.
And
Mm.
Chris,
I really like, when we have 80-kilometer winds and stuff, I find that really fun just to go, just jump, get that almost floatlessness.
I'm
yeah,
sorry. So you go outside and you just start jumping
Oh
around?
yeah, when the wind is going nuts or butto, like a lot of times I hear it at night and I'm like, damn, I wish this was like noon
during
hours so I
the
could
day.
enjoy it. At night, I'm just like, I'm in bed. I'm not gonna change and do all that. But
Yeah.
Wait, sorry. Were you there that one time we were like planning on buying a turkey? Or were you there, Kyle?
we're gonna need more to the story, I think.
No. Okay.
Maybe.
So we were gonna like Safeway to buy a turkey, and we had like we were gonna get lunch first, but the whole plaza got a power outage.
This sounds familiar, but then again, I don't know if it was just something that I was told or if I was there.
Well, I'll just say it. So whatever. That day was just really windy, and it caused like a power outage in the plaza where we were getting lunch.
Yeah.
And we were just walking back home to see if our house is still in power. And I got my hat blown into the street and had to run into the street to get my hat. That's all I had to say.
Risking his life for our hats.
Yeah. No, I know the feeling. The other day my hat almost blew off too. It was horrible. I'm like, that's what I'm most scared about when it's windy, to be honest. My hat flying off.
Yeah. It really is.
Yeah. Thankfully my hat has like a buckle at the bottom, so like clip. So I'd like clip my hat down. Yeah.
Need one of those like fisherman, what do you call the full like what do you call those hats? The one that go all the way around, circular.
Fisherman's hat?
Are they fisherman's hats?
I don't know.
There's a lot of hats that go circular.
I don't really know what you mean.
You have
saying
a bowler
hat that goes
hat.
all the way around.
No.
Could be a fedora, fucking cowboy hat.
Milady?
It's like
The
round.
description
It's
is
like
like
fedora and like cowboy are just
Milady.
not round.
non-round.
No.
What?
This is round, but I'd argue that fedora is like not round. It's got like a shape.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, but like a bowler hat is round.
I searched bowler hat and not a single hat came
You know,
up. So.
there are
What?
certain times where I feel like if we had a visual,
I searched
podcast,
bowler hat
it'd be
and
really
there's
funny.
hats all around.
Oh, because I didn't write hats. What the fuck did I write?
What are you doing?
I'm lost in the sauce, I guess.
Remember when this conversation started with
Anyway,
Doomsday?
Okay,
Look,
it's not bowler hat. No,
Okay,
but it's-
to be fair, I
yeah.
I honestly enjoy the conversations that we have when they just go somewhere random.
You're like, how did we get to hats?
Yeah. Okay, but I guess
Yeah, go.
like power outage, yeah, that is another time when I feel like you need to be slightly prepared, but not it's not quite the like intense preparation. But
Mhm.
for those like for that, I am prepared actually. Like my mom and I have a whole like protocol, like slew of
Wow.
candles, everything like,
Mhm.
like well for us we have gas appliances, so if the gas lines aren't down, like we're gonna be fine. But like we're totally, ready with it. Like we got the barbecue and everything to cook with and everything like that, so it's not a very big deal. Um, but I always remember, like, yeah, especially when we were kids. I think a lot of that was like, okay, like technology is still like pretty new, so it's not like so ubiquitous that it's like, oh, we can't fucking survive without the internet and shit. So like,
Yeah.
I feel like back then, like I was even more prepared because it was like, oh fuck, like can play board games, can like
I'll just read a book.
yeah, like I'll just read a book, like do whatever. Fuck man, like we'll just wait until the power comes back on, like listen to the radio and shit to like battery powered radio for like updates. Nowadays I feel like it's oh man, like fuck, how am I even gonna survive without like electricity for like a week straight, right?
Like if I don't have data when during a like power outage, I'm just so bored. And what can I do? But
Yeah.
I can't even remember back in the day being in a position where a power outage prevented me or like was long enough that I felt bored.
Yeah.
Like they were pretty short.
Yeah. I feel like at most they've lasted a few hours.
Mhm. I think we probably have a power outage at least once a year. Like
Yeah.
here, right?
Yeah. When there's bad
not too
storm.
bad. Mhm.
Yeah. I think the interesting thing would be like because a power outage isn't bad enough, like say an earthquake or tsunami, right? That like you can't leave your house. like it would be so interesting because almost similar to like when you go camping, like you don't have electricity or anything like that. So
Yeah.
like once the sun goes down, like it's time to pack it fucking up, right? Like you pack it in and you just like go to bed because
Mhm.
there's no
You
light.
got nothing else to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So like if there was a bad enough power outage just like throughout the city and like no street lights, no fucking traffic lights, like can't see shit at night, like you could go out in your car, but like are you really gonna do that? No, fuck that, right? Like
No.
so that would be like super interesting to see if people would go out, see like, oh shit, man, like power goes out for a few days, like are people gonna continue with their normal lives? Like if this happens in the wintertime, sun goes down like 4:30,
Yeah.
like you spend 4:30 until like 10 a.m. the next day in your house. It's like doing nothing.
There's a great movie, a Japanese one, where it's like, oh, the electricity, like all modern technology, like goes out for I don't know if it's spoilers telling you how long, but it goes out and then it's like, oh, day one, everyone tries to go to work. Oh, they can't do any work. They're told to go back home. Then by the end of the week, they're like, just don't come until power's back. Otherwise, you can't do your job. And then as time goes on, people are getting kind of more and more desperate, and the protagonist family is like the core is the family. They're like, oh, the mother has a brother or something living in the countryside, so they try to make down. It's really, I really like it. I've actually suggested
What's it
it.
called?
I'll find it during the break and we could
Okay.
add to the description. But
Yeah.
it, it I find it was like a nice perspective to, is this how are people going to react during a situation like that with a very long scenario without power? Because I'm thinking, oh, several day power outage, like, a few hours, okay, the store closes. But in a few days, I'm going to need food. Are they going to sell me food when their systems aren't working? What's their protocol? Something like
Yeah,
Yeah.
refrigeration
that.
too. Like
At the restaurant we were having lunch that one time, we had to like hand over credit cards and they did
Wrote it down.
the they had the thing is like you
punch it
scribble
in.
over it. I don't know.
Yeah,
Yeah, they imprint it on something. Am I
yeah,
right?
it's like carbon copy paper, and then
Yeah,
they
yeah.
like run the thing over the straight to
Yeah.
the fucking credit card. Yeah, that shit's wild. It's like
I
some
don't know.
old school tech, no tap.
Imagine an age when our money isn't real.
Yeah. Oh, speaking of which, I guess this is like a big tangent. My credit card came in, guys.
Oh,
I'm no longer
congrats.
naked feeling. That was such a weird experience. Although I guess also a topic for another time. But yeah,
Yeah, I mean we can add that down on the list somewhere. It's a good
yeah,
topic, I feel like.
yeah. We have like an infinitely growing list of topics, which is good.
Mhm.
A lot more for the next season
Yeah,
of the
I mean, like I was suggesting, I think we can put in activities for the podcast too, like tier lists and stuff, taste tests
Oh
when
yeah,
we're all meeting up together. I feel like that's something interesting we could do to share.
yeah.
Um, one thing I was also kind of interested in talking about is not really on preparedness of disasters, but like how you think you would act or react in these natural disasters or doomsday situations. Because the the boys and I have been watching this zombie K drama, and I'm
Hmm.
just out here saying I would just bonk everybody,
Just
no
fucking kill
mercy,
him.
no mercy, dude.
What?
I don't know if I
I'm
shared this with you,
bloodthirsty.
but
I got
I had
that
a
dog in me,
dream. I had a dream recently where it was like us and our mutual friend were like in the dream. It was like nighttime. We walked past a strawberry stand, and it's like, oh, it's closed, but there's still strawberries, and so it's like strawberries for a toonie. So we'd
Yeah.
like take 2 strawberries and pay a toonie, but then I put a toonie on the counter, and then I take somebody else's toonie. I'm like, I'm a dick in my own dreams. Like, there's no. I knew I was dreaming because I'm like, I don't even like strawberries. So, and then I'm like, okay, if this like this is my subconscious almost, right? It's your dream.
Yeah.
Like if I like, I'm like, wow, okay, I'm just like flat out I'm not a great person. I'm like, no,
That's so fucking funny. That's like
I'm like,
your true self,
Yeah,
yeah.
your
And
inner
The
self
true
is
Sar is
telling
just a
you.
dick,
as I was
dude.
acting through it, I was like, huh, this is what I'm like. Oh, okay. I'm like, I'm like having this internal debate in the dream. I'm like, huh, like, I'm supposed to not, steal, but I'm effectively by taking somebody else's notes, like I'm not paying, I'm stealing.
Yeah.
I'm just like, oh,
Holy shit.
okay.
Oh my god.
It's kind of
So
wild.
anyway, I don't think I'm, gonna full out bonk people, but
No, I'm
think-
just saying in the zombie situation,
yeah,
I'd be bonking zombies, you know?
I mean,
Oh, zombies. You're gonna bonk the zombies.
no, it
I
was
thought you
like,
were gonna bonk your friends to like get
No.
away.
no, because
like-
it was like, in this Korean drama, it was the zombies is just like for a little short while they kind of go into suck your blood mode, but then they go back to being human. It's like while they're in this
Okay.
uncontrolled phase, so they're kind of human, and it's kind of that's the
Yeah.
purpose. It's like,
So
oh, are they
when they're-
human? Or are they like, fully infected? Whatever.
Yeah.
But so people are like, oh no, this guy might be infected. Let's bonk him.
Yeah. So like
Um,
when they're in the zone, you're just gonna fucking off them.
Yeah.
No mercy. Oh yeah, they could come back. Nope, not chancing it.
Bro.
Decapitated. Just like get them. That's
feel like-
crazy.
For people, in these kind of scenarios and apocalyptic or the zombie video games and stuff, where I'm immediately don't trust people. I'm not gonna be untrustworthy to them, but they're like they don't have my trust. So I'm always at a kind of a distance between people I haven't, until I get the vibe, one or the other.
This is for strangers, right?
I mean,
Or friends?
yeah, I feel friends have gained the vibe check.
Yeah.
I mean, if they turn on me, I'd feel pretty betrayed. I feel.
No.
Well, yeah. I think in like, okay, but then again, we are talking like zombies. Apocalypse is like very different
Yes.
than a natural disaster. Like, I'm not gonna fucking start bonking people.
No, dude.
I mean,
If people are still
tsunami.
people, I'm not out here to. I don't choose violence. You know?
Let's bring it back down to a natural disaster,
Yeah.
right?
And
Yeah.
then,
No
and then we can.
electricity, earthquake, for a week. I feel even my common, Richmondite, I'm still not gonna trust them
Yeah,
because
I
I
feel
don't
like
trust humans.
in a desperate state, people do change.
Yeah, but like, you wouldn't try and help people. You would just like be that distrusting that like you wouldn't come to others' aid. Like, is that the level, or like where do you draw the line? Like, in terms of trusting people or not trusting people, right?
I'm thinking that if I see someone maybe I'm like walking down the street or something for whatever reason that someone needs like immediate help that I can help them right now, okay, I can help them. Someone asks me, "Oh, do you have some extra water?" I'm gonna be pretty hesitant about offering that. I don't feel that I'm gonna get that level of kind of help back, even though that's not necessarily true. I'm kind of cynical in that way,
Yeah.
where I assume that others don't have my best interest at heart. So
Yes.
I have to equate to that instead of being, more open and then being open to the possibility of being let down or taken advantage of. I'd rather be on the defensive first.
I think in that scenario, I get what you're saying. I think a nicer way of saying that too would be like the airplane oxygen mask thing, right? Like, you have to help yourself first before you can help anybody else. So like, if I'm not in a position where I feel completely secure, I don't think I would begin. Now that I'm saying that, I feel like I actually probably would just help people, to be honest. But I feel like you should always like make sure that you're set before trying to help other
But
people.
like something like, oh, we don't know how long this is going to take, how long until we get, a fresh supply of water. If it's, day 3, I know I have water for another week or so, but somebody asks me for water now. am I gonna take off a day of water to give it to them? Like, I mean, it's hard call. It's very hard
Like I
call.
probably would, and then like try and figure out how I would get more water, right?
I think mindsets will change as
Oh,
time
for
goes
sure.
on, right? Like day 1 to 3, you're probably, oh, okay, yeah, you need help, I'll help you right away. But as
Mhm.
you also get lower on supplies,
Yeah.
then you have to start thinking like, can I afford this?
Yeah.
I mean, I want to think like that before I get low on supplies.
That's fair.
I mean, yeah, that is
Yeah.
fair. That's just like I think that's that is the
That's the
difference.
SAR taking the toonie back talk.
I mean, I
Give
don't
him
think
some water and then
you
steal
already
some
said
from
it,
someone
bro.
else.
it's not stemming from the same place, but it's definitely. Oh, I don't want to be in a position of crisis and be like, "Damn, I regret this decision I made earlier."
Yeah.
Mhm.
But at the same time, I also, I don't want to be in the position where somebody's like, "Oh, can I have some water?" and I know I have a good supply, and I would be like, no. I want to be in the position where, like, if I'm confident in my water supply, I could be like, all right, here you go. But if I'm
Yeah.
unsure, then it really becomes a
No, but again,
tough
from the
call.
Toonie story, we know you would give him
I
some
mean,
water and then just steal some from someone else.
I just steal it back.
No, you'd be like, okay, let me in your house. I'll bring you this water. And you give them the water, you turn around, you take another bottle away from them.
Yeah, trade offer.
Yeah. All right. Well, that was a fun conversation. We're gonna hit
Yeah.
our break. When we come back, we'll have another topic for you.
Yeah.
Good.
But
All right, welcome back. Last topic of the season here. We're talking about medical stories and maybe injuries or anything of the sort. I mean, I don't know if I should go first or last. You guys,
just
I'll
come
go
out
last.
swinging. Just come out swinging,
I
bro.
mean, I've definitely had my fair share of hospital visits. I don't know if you guys have ever been to the Vancouver BC Children's like emergency room. They used to give you kind of a credit card shaped thing. And one time I'd gone so often that I actually all the time you get one and then it's so long since your next visit that you like completely forget that the thing exists. But one time I was like, yeah, I have it ready. I was like, damn, I'm going to the hospital maybe a bit too much.
Damn. With what? For what?
Oh,
What are you
I
going to
mean,
the hospital for?
wait, have you guys been like
Tell the story.
To
okay,
Children's
I don't
Hospital?
know.
Yeah,
I'm
I've
trying to
been.
remember. I was farming hospital visits during elementary and high school. I mean,
What are you doing? You beating
the
up kids?
first time I broke a bone was when I was 5 years old. The first time I was in the hospital was like 2 years old because we were in France visiting, I think, with my extended family. And, in France, they eat the escargot, the snails. So I ate the shells instead of the inside. As a 2-year-old, okay, I
Oh, you
don't
ate
think
the
it's
whole
my fault.
thing?
Remember,
You just popped
if
the
I
whole
can't
thing in your
remember
mouth?
it, but sorry.
You popped the whole thing in your mouth?
Yeah, so I just like had like two or three in my throat, and I was like,
What
"Yo,
the fuck?
can't breathe." Or was that maybe okay? It was definitely snails in my throat, but it may not have been in France. It may have just been in like preschool. So it's one or the other, like
So you eating
daycare.
snails from outside, or?
I think so. One or the other. I think it
All
was
right,
Just
man.
sucking down the snails.
so. So I remember like my mom retelling the story was like, "Oh yeah," she like rushes me to the hospital. My dad's on um like reserves, like he's in the military. So he's in like, bumfuck nowhere in the desert. No reception is the main part. So she's like, oh, like our son's gonna die if you like don't pick up. Like I'm leaving you, kind of levels of stress. And like he obviously doesn't know anything's going on. Then he comes back to reception, like to base or whatever, or
Mhm.
somewhere with reception. He's he's like several missed phone calls, emergency and shit. And by the time we got there, I think it's like resolved. Still here today. But that was, I think, the first medical emergency I've been told of that I had.
Nice.
experience, and then it went up from there.
That's a pretty good one, though.
Snail
A
sucker.
pretty good one.
Yeah, snail sucking.
I mean,
That's a good story.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, I also don't remember it, so I can be as clueless as the rest of us.
Well, I don't think your mom would lie to you that you sucked
Yeah,
down some
yeah.
snails.
Have you guys
Suck snails?
Yeah.
had medical stories or?
Yeah, so I have like a similar timeline to you actually. I
Mm.
broke my first bone at 5, but when I was a baby, I had like really bad asthma.
Mhm.
So there was one time where I just like stopped breathing, so they had to bring me to Emerge because like
Ooh,
similarly I just could not breathe,
Okay.
but not because I was sucking down some snails.
you're lost, bro.
Yeah, I know. My airways just closed normally. Fuck. But yeah, and then they had to like give me a lot of I don't know, inhalants and like steroids and shit to like open my areas. But the breaking a bone story I think is more of a classic story. I was 5, I went skiing up at Whistler.
Yeah.
And like at that point I had already learned how to ski. Like I had been in ski camp and shit. So it's not like I was completely like first time on the mountain. But I was still like a 5-year-old kid. I was not like a you know an adept skier at that
Like
point.
you were as good as a 5-year-old could be, right? Like,
Yeah. I like come down around an S turn. Obviously no poles or anything because when you're a kid you can't ski with poles; they're too tall for you. So I come around this S turn, like, whoop, leg turns around completely, snapped my shin bone, just just like that because my bones are small and brittle. Um, anyways, I remember two things, and I was told another. So the two things that I remember are that I I told my mom, "Don't worry, I'll just put some snow on it and it'll be okay." Because as a kid, I was like, "Oh yeah, you gotta ice your injuries."
I've had.
Um, and the second thing that I remember was being taken off the mountain on like a ski
Oh,
doo.
ski
you do, yeah.
Jet ski is the water one,
Yeah.
which makes no sense. Fuck. A ski doo
Frozen
because they had to get me down the fucking mountain somehow. Um, and yeah, so then the thing that I was told though, I've always been terrified of needles, and especially like as a kid, I would not like I would just refuse it. So my mom was like, "Okay, fuck it, no, like he's not gonna take it. Just reset his leg." So they did without any anesthetic, just like
Yeah.
snap my leg back into place. And
Okay. You
Yeah.
can handle it.
yeah, yeah, pretty much. My mom was just like, "It's not gonna
You
happen."
can
Just
take
like
it.
so.
It's the needle will be worse than snapping it back. Just get it
Uh
over
huh.
with.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah. So, and then like all my follow-up appointments were at shelters and stuff. So yeah, I have been in there. I don't know if this was an admission. I don't know if I stole a book from there or if they just let me like take it home because I was like a kid.
what's a good
Um,
like
but it was like a Tarzan board game book
What?
with like this thing where you would like press this like air bladder which would blow a dial to like figure out the number of spaces you would move. It was
Oh,
fucking
interesting.
amazing. And so all the time when I was in the waiting room there, I would play that game. Like every time I had an appointment for like anything, I would play that board game book with my dad. And so I guess like I wanted it and they let me take it home or some shit like after I got the cast off. So, and now it's just sitting at my dad's place. Like always reminds me, and so is the cast. But yeah,
Oh,
those two
okay.
things always remind me of my.
you got to keep the cast?
Yeah,
They never ever let me keep a cast.
really.
Yeah.
Even as a kid?
Yeah.
Damn, what the fuck? What kind of shitty ass doctors are cutting off your
Yeah.
casts?
We'll
Israeli
get back to
dog.
that.
I don't know.
I mean, only some of them. I've had casts here too. But have you, Josh, experienced
A broken bone? No.
the medical
I mean,
field?
I've had my fair share of ER things just because of my allergies.
Mm.
There was one time. It's not like a serious thing, I guess, but we were at a Chinese restaurant. I was like still pretty young, but
Oh, of course.
it's been a
Classic.
while. Yeah, you can't trust them. This is why I don't trust them. So we ordered like rice noodles, plain rice noodles,
Mhm.
as plain as they can be. Like you can't get any safer than that. It's just rice, flour, and water, and you steam it.
Yep.
Right?
Steamed with peanut oil.
Steam with water, obviously. No, but obviously I had a reaction, or it was a pretty mild one. So I'm not feeling the best, but at this point, like I'm not straight up dying. I can breathe. So I go to the washroom, and then I do a little dookie. I come out, and at that point, I'm still not feeling good. I tell my parents, and like, okay, we'll go home and get like some Benadryl or whatever in you. And then as we're walking out, I just straight up vomit all over the mat, like the welcome mat, and then I get rushed to the
revenge.
ER. Yeah, and then I'm just sitting there in the ER because okay, it's so weird because I mean obviously there's priority, so we told them I had allergies and I had a reaction, but they were like, "Oh, is he fine now?" And because I was, they just made me sit there and wait. I guess.
Good
They're
thing
just,
you
like,
threw up.
watching you.
Yeah, I didn't.
That's kind of fucked up.
Yeah.
I mean, it sounds like nothing.
No, that was like a
happened
very
after.
minor reaction.
No,
But
but like after being told to wait, nothing,
yeah, nothing
like
happened.
sufficiently worse or something. So maybe they.
No.
I remember a different time, of course, when I broke my toe, and I'm just like not hyperventilating, but I'm just like, damn, can you guys treat me? But the nurse was just like, I'm also a kid, even though it's like late high school, mid high school. She's just like, effectively, I'm paraphrasing here, but she's like, bruh, like, just breathe less, like, calm your tits.
Breathe
we're gonna
less.
get to you.
It
We're
ain't
gonna
that
get to you,
deep, bro.
like, yeah, like we're gonna get to you when we get to
Yeah.
kind of thing. I mean,
Was
that's
this
fair,
back at
but
the children's hospital? Or
this one was at the
regular?
Richmond one, actually, the Richmond
Oh.
hospital.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, I've had plenty of. From when I broke my first, felt like when I fell off the bottom of the slide, elbow first into the cement patio. I fractured my elbow, my right elbow, and I still remember when they were wrapping like the gauze or the cast for it. It looked and felt like wet, almost clay covered toilet paper. That's what, and then they rolled it around.
And then it like hardens up. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm pretty certain there was a space shuttle disaster that week because that was the only thing shown on, this is early 2000s hospitals, like on one of the small
Challenger?
VCRs like on some rod in the ceiling.
Yeah.
And I remember that was just the only thing playing at the hospital that week or the day I went in.
Yeah.
Oh, Columbia. 2003 then, right?
Was there none in 2000 and like 1 or 2?
The other one was in 1986.
Maybe it was the anniversary of it then.
Oh.
Of the when we were 3, because that was like the only thing. But I did kind of realize that this category might not be like great for like squeamish listeners.
I feel like we're not too graphic with it.
I mean, we can be. No,
we can be. Yeah, I can talk about some. They're not big injuries, but it's some wacky stuff.
Yeah.
Well,
I feel like it's okay.
I was just thinking that I've been in quite a few hospitals. I'm farming my hospital visits. Because I went to the Kelowna one, Vancouver, Richmond, one in Tel Aviv. I think it would not have been Tel Aviv, actually, some other one. It's like 4 or 5 unique hospitals. Adding it to the list.
Get your hospital passport.
Yeah.
I guess I've been to a lot of hospitals too now, actually, because I've lived in now 3 different cities. So I've been hitting that in those hospitals. Also, I go to a lot of hospitals like for grace.
Yeah.
It's like
I mean,
sometimes
that's a
like
little different.
pick her up.
Yeah.
Because I feel you probably have a different maybe mind connection to a hospital. I only go to hospital when something bad's happened.
Yeah,
like,
that's true. I
I've
like
never
generally.
gone. Yeah, sorry.
I generally don't go to the hospital when bad things happen.
Mm,
I like. I
I
only
guess
go
it's
there to
well.
go pick Grace up nowadays, or like drop her off.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's like my hospital visits. Like the only time I was there for, I think, a good reason is when my siblings were born. But after that, it's only been bad reasons. Like,
Yeah, that's true.
um,
I mean, there are no good reasons to go to a hospital,
I mean,
right?
I'd
Well,
argue like someone
yeah.
being born is a good reason.
Give
No,
birth.
I mean like
Yeah,
apart from that,
yeah.
or like someone's getting discharged, you're there to visit them.
Mhm.
But like, for example, like if we're visiting someone in a hospital, yes, like that is good,
Yeah,
but them being there in the first
it's
place is probably
not.
not
That's true.
good.
That's
Yeah, but I do feel like that is probably most people's experience, like for their entire lives, right?
Mhm.
Like the only good reason you would go to the hospital is like, yeah, if someone's being born, right? Or if you're visiting someone. That's like that's so crazy to think about though. It's very illuminating.
Yeah,
I feel like it's
difference in
almost
lives, right?
similar with the police interactions, right? The only time I interact with police is typically it's like something bad's happening. They want something from me.
Yeah, like when you're
They
getting
stop
pulled
me for
over.
doing something wrong, or in their opinion.
Make you gamba.
Yeah,
Yeah. Pick a
but
number.
yeah, it's like, but they have kind of. I know they try to portray themselves in a better light, try to have like increased good interactions, so you don't just think of them in a bad light. I
Mhm.
feel you can't really think of a hospital in a bad light because typically they're trying their best to not get you there. Like I never think of the dentist in a bad light. I go to them, they just tell me my teeth are horrendous or whatnot. They don't do that, but
Tell you
yeah,
don't floss.
yeah. They're like they grab an axe, smash me in the face, and they're like, "This is why you're bleeding because you don't floss."
Yep.
Um, but like, yeah. So there's a subreddit called Never Broken a Bone, and I think those people are super pretentious and like I forgot the
They're
word. It's
proud
like
of not breaking a
stuck up.
bone.
Yeah, I'm like, in my
That's
opinion,
weird.
if you, I'm not saying if you haven't broken a bone, you're not living, but if you haven't come close, at least if you're not, it's not that your bones are stronger or something. It's just you're not pushing yourself. You're not limit testing, and that's it's a bad way of living life.
I
I'm
agree.
literally calling you out
Yeah.
if you haven't broken.
I mean, I'm not scared of breaking a bone. It's just
Mhm.
I just haven't, had the displeasure of doing so, right? Like I've done decent amount of sports or physical
Mhm.
activity. I've been hit places.
Yeah,
I just haven't broken a bone. Right?
obviously it shouldn't be the goal, but
Yeah.
to
I'm not out
feel,
here jumping off buildings and
yeah,
like, oh
Yeah.
boys.
to feel superior because you haven't
Mhm.
is weak mindset.
I guess
Yeah.
speaking of breaking stuff, since we have a little bit more time, Kyle, you want to tell us about your back?
Oh yeah, this is a rough one. So this is like my most recent major injury. Um I was still in London at the time, like walking on campus. I go in for a bit. There's a lot of flash freezes that happen in London where the temperature will just drop. And so it had been raining and like positive degrees, like 2, 3 degrees that day. But when I came out, the temperature had dropped down 20 degrees, so it hit minus 17 and everything froze over. So I was walking on campus. I like watching people slip and slide, and I'm like, oh damn, I should probably be careful. Me thinking this at that exact moment, I like step down some stairs, slip, I fall, I crack my fucking back on one of the steps. And at that point, I was like, in my brain, I was like, it's fucking over. I'm paralyzed. I can't feel my legs. It's like it's over, right? Like I'm done. And like I'm laying there like for fucking half an hour in the snow, just like can't feel my legs. Eventually feeling starts to return. I'm like, oh thank God I can feel my toes again. Because like I must have gone into shock because I was like in a state of just like absolute peril at that time. I like managed to crawl my way into a building. text Grace. I think we've been dating for like 2 months at this point, 3 months. I'm like, hey, like something's happened. Like I fucking like I fell, I hurt myself, but just like I'll just wait here like until you're done your class. Like don't worry about it.
Just on the floor.
She's like messaging me like, oh my god, like do you want me to leave class and like come get you? I'm like, no, like I'm good.
Education's important.
Like finish your class. I'm like just laying there in like a crumpled pile in the corner of this building. She always likes to tell the story that people actually like were. I looked so in such rough shape that people were actually concerned enough to come up to me and be like, "Hey man, like, do you need help?" Because like
I'm kind of
honestly,
surprised
that's
nobody approached you in the first 30 minutes on the ground. To just
yeah. Those people definitely just kind of walked right past me. I could have been
let
dead and
step
they
over
wouldn't
your
have
lone
even
body.
fucking cared. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, after that, even like I couldn't walk home, obviously. So we like took an Uber and the Uber driver was like, hey man, like you sure you don't want to go to the fucking hospital? I was like, no, like I'm good, I'll sleep it off. I go back and I like the next day I woke up, I was like, can't move my legs like again. Just like I could feel them and like move my toes and shit, but like I could not like move my legs because I was in so much fucking pain. Anyways, I'm about I was very stubborn about this, so like I couldn't really walk, so I was like hobbling around on crutches. But like I'm pretty used to that. I've been on crutches a lot, so like that wasn't a super big deal to me. I thought like okay, I'll just like same like any other normal injury. I'll just like rest and like sleep it off. Um, I am sure, and Grace, in her doctor's opinion, thinks that I might have fractured my back at that point. So that's like uh the only thing that you can do with that really is let it heal anyways, but I didn't get it checked out or anything until 3 weeks later. I go to the hospital and they're like, okay, we'll get you on some like really high powered painkillers. And this is like the best part of the story. I was like so hopped up on those fucking pills. It's terrifying. I totally understand how people get addicted to painkillers because I was like popping them off cooldown, like straight up. Anytime I started to feel
4 hours on the clock. Let's go.
no, not even that. It was like anytime I started to feel pain again, I was like, oh, I'll just take another one. Like, fuck it. And there was a point where I like took a nap and I woke up and I was like thinking in my head, like, oh my God, like, how do you breathe? Like, how do I breathe? I forgot how to breathe. I like started choking, just like not breathing because my brain was like fucking, I was so high. It was ridiculous. And then there was a day that like my mouth just couldn't close. My mouth was open, my tongue was sticking out the whole fucking day. It was wild. I like went to class and shit that day, and everyone was like, "Why is your tongue out? Like, why is your mouth?" And I'm like, I don't know. I like completely fucked up. But yeah, that was like my worst injury of my life.
I'm curious to how many different gods you prayed during the 30 minutes on the ground because I know
Hey, yo,
I'd
anyone
become a
there?
little religious.
I think I was just like reflecting on it. I was like, oh yeah, like man, like my legs have had a good run. Like,
24
like
years is good.
I prepared for not having arms, but not for not having legs, you know? Anyways,
Yeah.
I feel like okay,
guys,
on the bright side, before we close things off, if
yeah,
are like, oh my gosh, I can't breathe. If you like literally choke yourself out, when you go unconscious, your body will go
you'll
back to
start
breathing
breathing
on the
again.
bright side. So
Yeah,
at
that's
least
true.
that one won't kill you.
Yeah. But on that very happy note, it's been a great first season of the Up and Up podcast. 12 great episodes. Thanks everyone for listening along with us. Thanks you guys for coming on every week and having these conversations.
Yeah,
Letting
it's
us
been great.
know if anything is off. We appreciate the feedback.
Yeah,
Yeah,
please. If you get a chance to, you know, DM us, or I'm
What
pretty
else?
sure there's a email if you want to email that and give us
When's the last time we
feedback.
checked that?
no clue.
Oh, one more thing. I won't put it in the description, but the movie that SAR
Yeah.
was talking about is called Family Survival, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Family
Yes.
Survival 20.
And the book that I stole is called Disney's Tarzan Game Book.
Yeah.
I found it on Amazon.
Some unfinished threads for you to follow.
All right. Thanks.
All right.
Thanks all for
Yeah.
listening.
Catch y'all next season. Bye.